We're only here 5 minutes early.
I know.
Yeah, this 9 a.m. thing might be for the birds.
Mm-hmm. See?
Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
We are waiting to actually see our little faces on camera. Yeah, we have a bad Instagram filter over us again. I don't know what has happened to the webcam. Is the webcam dying? Is that the problem? Because it is not holding settings.
Done wore it out.
So, good morning, everybody who is here for the live stream. If you arrive later to watch after the live stream is over, fast forward by about 4 to 5 minutes to skip the butt rub portion of the live stream.
Yeah, it's going to be a abridged butt rub.
Yeah, we're not here early.
No.
Mostly because it's early. And we're used to having like hours.
Yeah. I was actually ready by 8:30.
Right, I had to put my face on.
I know.
Right.
I know.
And then I was dropping brushes. Yep. Okay, so let me say my hellos. Hello, Crystal and Silent Winged and Ben. Yes, cannot brain. Me neither. Mm-hmm. Yes, more coffee for sure.
I've had 2.5 cups and I still can't brain. So.
I know, you're grumpy polar bear today.
Yep.
Hi, Eva. Hi, Whitney. Yeah, I want everybody to know, because if you're here for the live stream, it's 9 o'clock Eastern. I don't know what time it is where anybody else is. And let me just tell you, this is about to be my first sip of coffee for the day. For the day. I'm fortifying myself. I'm stocking up on caffeine. I have a Diet Coke waiting for me in the refrigerator, a 32 ounce from Wawa, because, we live large around here with our 99-cent drinks.
And yes, Crystal, butt rubs are amazing.
Oh my God, that is so good. That is so good. Yes. Okay. I had a very small coffee gasm.
Yeah.
Good morning, Gabrielle. Let's see. I want to make sure I get everybody. 2 minutes to go. Mm-hmm. Ben, you have no coffee at your house. Too bad we don't live closer, because I would totally let you have some coffee.
Hook you up.
I know. 8 a.m. Central Time. That's early enough, too. 8 a.m. What was I doing at 8 a.m.? I was home. Had to take the youngest one has to be at school. Technically, he doesn't have to be at school till like 7:45-ish, but we get him there when they allow drop-off, which is 7:20. Mm-hmm. The oldest, I dropped him off at about 10 till 8 with his Monster Energy drink and his chocolate-covered donuts, because I'm an indulgent mother. Also, I think they need to enjoy this metabolism while they have it.
That's true.
I mean, somehow I gave birth to 2 children who were about as big around as one of my thighs. And I'm not sure how that happened either. No, I have been a chunky girl from birth. My whole family loved to talk about how I was chunky when I came out, and my children were not like that. They were very small. They're tall. They're very tall, but they're very slender, and it burns off of them. So I'm like,
we have to look up to the oldest.
God, he's taller than us now.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool though, because he's like he's slowly becoming like a grown man person.
Yeah.
I mean, he thinks he's grown, but that's the lot of teenagers. Hi, Yarn and Whiskey. Oh, God, a snow day. Hi, Connie. Hi, Claire. Yes, it is coffee time. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. We've got a minute to go. Oh, my goodness. I know. I don't have anything. It's too early. I haven't done anything yet. And nobody needs to hear about my existential crises over my own stress that I brought upon myself. So,
yeah.
Because if I talk about it, I'll just stress myself out. Silent Wing, tell hubby we said hi.
Yep.
Let's see. It's 9 o'clock. Okay, we're gonna get this show on the road. Couple things. The shirts we are wearing, we do not have links to. I felt like hashtag baby girl was appropriate for this topic, even though this topic just is not all baby girls' fault within the topic we're going to talk about, but it felt appropriate. This was a gifted shirt, so it's not available for purchase.
And this shirt actually came from JCPenney.
In their graphic tee section.
It was a surprise find when we were there one night, and just happened to look, and there it was, and I was like, I have to have that shirt.
Yeah, we were giggling in
Yep.
the JC Penney, y'all. Other little YouTube-only announcements. Yes, we are talking about Sam's smartass masochist. If you don't know what Sam is, Brats. And I say sassy, but I feel like there might be another better, more neutral word, but I'm going with sassy. So that's what we're talking about. If you at any point enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not already subscribed, please do. Go ahead.
And hit that notification bell so you get notified when we upload new content.
Sure. If you really, really like what we do and want to help us do more of it, consider becoming a proud cricket kinky patron, however you want to say it, on Patreon, patreon.com/KaylaLords. The link is in the description box. And just so you know, we are using the largesse we receive from our wonderful patrons to slowly add closed captions to shorter videos. So every week when a new video comes out, as long as it's about 30 minutes or less, and they usually are on Mondays, we're going ahead and getting closed captions added to that. And then as our budget permits, which so far so good, we're going back and doing it for older videos. So the last 3 non-live stream podcasts, like the videos like Our First Time in a Dungeon and Kinky Tips and stuff like that, already have closed captions on them. Like legit good closed captions, not the auto crap that YouTube creates with their AI or whatever. So it'll be a slow process to get everything done, but going forward we will. And if we ever like have, I don't know, several hundred crickets doing the long episodes, hour and a half long live streams and stuff will be easier. But we're trying to do that for people who, I know we have people, I know in general on YouTube, there are of course people who cannot, have problems with hearing, whether they're deaf or hard of hearing or whatever. Then there are people who English is their second language and it's easier to read it sometimes and have subtitles. And some people, it's just best how they consume information. So we're trying to make the channel more accessible, and our patrons are helping with that. So patreon.com/KaylaLords. Okay. We can now bring in the audio people. Okay, before we get into the topic, just one other quick announcement, and that's just sort of it's our new thing for this month. If you would like to subscribe to our newsletter, it's weekly. It only comes out weekly. I do not send newsletters multiple times a week. Ain't nobody got time for that. It has the show notes to every podcast episode. So if you listen to the podcast, and you need the links that we reference, that's where you will get them. Any new blog posts that we've written, any new videos that we have put out. If we know of special offers from brands we love, like coupon codes and stuff, we will let you know there. That kind of stuff. So if you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description box. If you're listening on podcast audio, the link is in the show notes for the newsletter. And also, if you go to any blog post at lovingbdsm.net, you will see the box where you can subscribe. And if you subscribe to the newsletter, you get a free downloadable of a BDSM yes, no, maybe checklist. So that is my only announcement. And I guess it's really time to start talking about it.
Yes.
How have we gotten to 209 podcast episodes and never talked about this?
I don't know.
We have been derelict in our duties again. This is
Speak for yourself.
Hey. And, at the risk
watch
of
that sass.
at the risk of seeming too sassy, you are welcome to come up with topic ideas too. Just say it there. Okay, so let's define what we're talking about first. Well, actually, I want to start with something because I wanted to say this first. We are in today's episode talking about smartass masochists, aka Sam's, brats, and I always say sassy, but maybe there's playful, maybe there's might be another word. I always just say sassy because I like that word. If you have another word that is similar to sassy, but you prefer, please share it. Please let us know what that word is.
And then there's brassy, which is a combination of a brat that's sassy.
Well, we can,
Yes.
But while that is the focus of today's topic, and we celebrate those some of that style because that's who I am, not a brat, not a brat. I'm not a brat.
She has a tantrum.
Sassy people have tantrums too. My whole point is I don't want anybody who does not see themselves in this light, does not want to be this kind of submissive, or in the case of a masochist, a bottom, to think that somehow your identity is not valid, that all submissives, are supposed to be this way. That's not true. This is one sort of cross section of submissives and bottoms that we relate really well to. So we thought, let's talk about it. The other thing is that while I identify with a lot of this stuff within the baby girl, baby boy, little side of things, you don't have to identify with any of that to identify as a brat or just as sassy or as a Sam. There's a huge cross section, and there's a lot of room to individualize all of this stuff. So when you hear us talking about it in terms of submission or because I'm a baby girl or whatever, this isn't necessarily...
It's kind of one of those things, I can't think of the name of it, where you have those circles that...
A Venn diagram.
Where they intersect, yes.
Yes. So there is, to a certain degree, an intersection between littles, baby girls, baby boys, and brat and sassy. And yes, but you can be one and not the other. So let's just make that very clear right up front. So, smartass masochist. I think people might have varying definitions. The way I've always defined it, and you tell me if you define it differently. I define it from the perspective of somebody who is sometimes accidentally a Sam. I don't mean to be a Sam. But for me, I said something... How's that expression go? I wrote a check with my mouth that my ass can't cash, or something like that. How's that expression go? Basically, I said or did something, and I got what's coming to me. In a sense of, I was snarky, I was a little cheeky, I was a little sassy, I challenged the sadist in order to bring the pain. Which I have learned can backfire on you, because some sadists will go, oh, you're challenging me. You're trying to entice me to make it hurt worse. Won't do anything, because that'll be more painful, emotionally at least.
there was one time early on, I remember quite well, you were acting out, trying to get something.
That must have been a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And what she ended up getting was nothing. I laid the toys out on the bed.
I cried.
And then I made her stand there and walked away.
I cried. So some people, usually grumpy people, will say that a smartass masochist is topping from the bottom. And I think that if here's how I look at that. Yes and no. Meaning, if your sadist / dom / top is in on the fun, and this is how you engage with one another, then no, it's not topping from the bottom. If you never communicate your needs with your sadist top dom, and you know that the only way to get some level of pain or whatever you're trying to get is to push them. I could see an argument I'm not going to say it's always topping from the bottom, but I can see an argument being made, because then a partner's not in on the game. They're not in on the fun. This isn't part of the dynamic you have with each other in your power exchange. This is, I can't or won't or refuse to say, hey, I really need you to bring the heat here. Come on now. Let's get into this. But if I push you, you will. Now, that doesn't mean that there can't be some element of that without it being topping from the bottom, but typically the best situations are the Sam and their top or dom both know what's going on. You might deny it. You might go, oh no, you're just being, look at you just being a brat is what I get called. And I don't want to be called a brat. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But there's some element of ongoing consent. Both know, both understand what's happening. And that is not topping from the bottom. Especially since the way I look at it, and this time I know it's not automatically topping from the bottom. I will be a smartass. I will say something and I still don't control the outcome because you might go harder like I wanted you to. You might go so hard I can't handle it. You might walk away. You still have the control.
Right.
And I can't predict exactly what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I say I'm an accidental Sam because when I say I have regretted my choices afterwards, I don't mean that like I used a safe word and I went, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I just mean that, it was more than I thought I was going to get. It's that be careful what you ask for because you just might get it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm an accidental Sam. I don't try to be. Some people do, and that's completely valid, especially when your partner's in on it, when they understand or at least have an inkling of who they're dealing with and what they're dealing with, because then they can consent to it. Then they can go, yeah, this is fun. I want to do this, or, oh, this is a challenge. Let's bring it. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And I was going to say, from the Big D side there, it takes I think it takes a special type of person to want to be with especially a Sam or a Brat.
Because it's a constant challenge, right?
It is. It's a constant challenge. You have to always be on your game, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of intelligence behind it.
Yeah.
Because the Sams, the Brats, I'd like to lump Sassy Subs in there, we're kind of constantly thinking. We're looking for loopholes. We're looking to challenge you. Oh, did you mean what you said? Because I can take what you said to mean this because you weren't very clear. Let's get to Brats in a second. I do not identify as a Brat. I don't want to identify as a Brat. But sometimes the sass is strong because it is fun to push a little bit, to go, I'm going to make you work for this a little bit. I'm going to make you think real hard. So let's talk about Brats. Now, there is nothing wrong with being a Brat. I do not identify as one for a very simple reason. To me, and this is my personal way of looking at the label, so everybody gets to look at this in their own way, bratty equals disrespectful. And I cannot purposely be disrespectful. There's stuff from childhood I should probably deal with, and that's most of it. But also that's just not... I don't even like to be disrespectful to strangers, and sometimes they fucking deserve it. So why do I want to be disrespectful to the person I love, who I hope will give me things I want, right? I'm not above whining. I'm not above pouting. I try not to stomp feet, but it does happen. I am not above doing things that can come across as disrespectful, depending on how you look at these things. But to fight against, to talk back, some people really, really love that, and more power to them. I personally cringe. I don't enjoy that part. I like the sass because there's a playfulness to it.
Yeah.
I'm smiling while I'm being sassy. I'm thinking myself, oh, so clever, because I made this point that clearly he didn't think of. I feel really proud of my sassy self. But if I even come up to the line of Brat, it bothers me. So I don't use that. I won't use that label for myself. If I legit think I'm being bratty in even the way that it can be as a submissive, as an actual identity, it would bother me. That being said, I've met a lot of Brats, and Brats get a really bad rap, okay? They get a really bad rap because what we see from the outside, whether we're at a munch or we're in a club or we're at a party or wherever, is we see the disrespect, put air quotes around that. We see the disrespect, we see the pushback, we see the not doing what they're told. And if you don't identify in that way, it can feel like harsh, like, oh my God, I would never say that. What we don't know is how the dom or the top is receiving it. And if they're in on the fun, if this is how they like to interact with their bratty partner, then it's not for us to say that it's wrong or people shouldn't do it, because it's about the people in the dynamic. And as long as they're both engaged in it and like enjoying the hell out of it, that's cool. That's legit. That's valid. Yeah. But Brats absolutely get a really bad rap. It's not
to a certain
fair.
extent, yes. But, I will freely admit when Kayla and I first got together, it took me a while to become immune to the pout.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to have power in the pouch.
Yep.
Power in the pouch.
Yeah, you did. and it did. It took me a little while, but when I figured out what was going on, that shit came to an end quick.
It did. It was very sad when it came to an end.
And I also learned in dealing with her, dot the I's and cross the T's.
You better be thinking faster than I am.
Before I even approach her with anything anymore, I'm running scenarios in my mind. Okay, this is what I want the outcome to be. How is she going to perceive this?
Mm-hmm. I love that. I want a partner who challenges me. I want a partner who can... I'm not always like on my game. Sometimes it's like, what are words, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes my thoughts do not flow the way they should. Sometimes I'm not even in the mood to be that way. But when I am, I want a partner who can go toe to toe with me. I want you to be... I hesitate to call myself smart, but I have some level of intelligence. Whatever that level of intelligence is, I want you to meet me there. If you can be smarter than me, I'm a pal, but I'm also going to be really impressed. Now, I want to tell you something, and I think this is where my service submissive side comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I know the power of the pout. I know that with a different person, with a different type of person, maybe I can be manipulative, not in a cruel way, not in a way to only get my way and the other. But I knew the power of the pout. I knew that if the voice was just right, if the eyes were dough-like enough, right? D-O-E dough, not cookie dough, although cookie dough. Anyway, I knew that I could get my way. I'd had relationships before where if I just said the right thing or, got a certain tone, I could get my own way. And I don't want our relationship to be I don't want to get my way because I manipulated you, because I played on your emotions. I want you to be in certain ways, the stronger of the two. I want you to be in control. Is it nice when you can outthink me a little bit and take that control in that way? Yes, absolutely. But if all I had to do is bat my eyelashes at you or say just the right thing and play on some level of your emotions or your feelings, and I always got my way, that's not enjoyable to me. That doesn't feel good.
Would that get boring to you?
It would get boring, and I think there would be some loss of respect because, again, I want a partner who can go toe-to-toe with me. I don't want a partner who's going to make me feel bad if they best me. I really don't like being bested in a verbal spar. I like to win. I also like to be right. Not going to lie. And for the most part, you and I, there is no winner. We come to a draw where we have just gone back and forth with one another, and we're smiling and we're feeling good about it. And usually I think the way you quote win is not because you somehow said something craftier or funnier or snarkier than I did, but because you pulled out your oh God, I hate this phrase because of our president, your trump card. I can't like that phrase anymore. You pull out your trump card of, oh, do you want a spanking? Oh, do you want corner time? And I'm like, he ran out of things to say. This is where we have to, he's got to end it. And he knows that will end it because I don't want corner time, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful in that back and forth that we have. Does the back and forth go too far? Sure.
Yes, it does.
Does the sass venture into other territories? Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Like the night we were going to bed and you ended up standing in the corner, I'm laying in bed.
Oh, I did not like that either. But see, ultimately, and again, I think this comes down to other parts of my submissive self. Ultimately, I want to be good girl. Ultimately, I want to have pleased you. I'm not even into punishment for the most part. Punishment, I think is fairly, I don't want to say common, but it is certainly a part of Sams and Brats in some dynamics, but it's also used in dynamics where they, are still playing with the taboo and what's okay and can we talk about it. So, it's a punishment that's fun. That's what punishment means if you weren't aware. I'm too, on some levels, I'm too blunt. Like, I just let it be what it is. Is it a spanking? I want to enjoy it, right? Like, are you forcing orgasms? Great. Like, I don't need to, quote, pretend that this is a punishment that I happen to enjoy, nor do I want to, as I've learned, push you so hard that you give me a, quote, punishment, because you're just, to a certain extent, you're kind of a disciplinarian and you're going to give me an actual punishment.
Yeah.
I have also, over time, gotten to a point where I just want to ask for what I want. Like, I don't want to have to, like, push back against you and get really playful and go to that line of bratty in order to get the kinky fuckery I actually want. I'll just say, hey, I want this. Can we do this? It is still your choice.
Sure.
But I'm asking for it because I'm not good with those kinds of games. Some people love those kinds of games. For some relationships and dynamics, that makes them feel alive. That makes them feel really connected. And that is great. I am not that girl. I just am not. I just want to be able to go, I want a fucking spanking. Can I get a fucking spanking? And part of that is because I don't personally, and this is a life thing, this isn't a dynamic thing, I don't fucking have time, y'all. I don't have time for games. It is going to happen much quicker if I just say, here's the thing I want. Can I get it?
Yeah.
You still get to make the decision, and you still direct how that goes. Like, I don't think I've ever, like, laid out, a detailed scenario and you went, oh, okay, I'll just fulfill that. Because there's nothing wrong with that on some levels, but that's, in my experience, that's not what a lot of dominants do in a power exchange. They still have the control over it. So they might give you what you asked for, like line by line, word by word, but then most of them that I have come across are going to add in their own twist to call it their own. And I think that's okay too. I don't think there's anything wrong with a partner giving you exactly what you wanted. I think at that point it's more of a top-bottom thing. Or it's a dominant maybe indulging in a fantasy that their sub has. But if every single scene is like that, I personally would see that as more of a top-bottom situation, because some element of the control is out of the dominant's hands. They're not guiding this scene. They're just fulfilling a wish or when I say order, I don't mean like order, like power exchange order, but like a menu order. Like, I'm in my Sonic app and I've pressed the hamburger and the Diet Coke. I'm also hungry, y'all. And I get exactly what I want in the way I requested it. If somebody out there enjoys that in their dynamic, no shade to them, but that's certainly for us not.
And other times that has gone the exact opposite for you too, because there was a time she was being her, and
you wouldn't want me any other way.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Podcast listeners, you can't see my face, but if you know me, you know my pout.
But I asked her, so what are your favorite toys in the toy bag?
You have a better memory than I do.
And she thought about it, and she told me. I'm like, okay. So then I went in, and I picked out the unfavorite toys.
I remember this.
Yeah. It all comes back now, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was so excited, too. That was my first lesson in things are not always what they appear to be. That brings me to a thing that I think is key to happy dynamics, satisfying dynamics. So here's a thing I see a lot online, and that is Sams and Brats and sassy, mouthy, opinionated, whatever, pick a word, whatever, playful, whatever, submissives that end up feeling bad or being made to feel bad because there are dominants out there who will tell them you're not a good submissive. You're not a real submissive. And first of all, anytime somebody throws out the word real, just go ahead and ignore their ass, because ain't no such thing as real. We all real. I mean, unless you are Casper the Friendly Ghost, we're all real. And what it can often take any submissive, but certainly these types, the subset of submission, a long time to figure out is that they weren't a bad submissive. They're not wrong. They just weren't coming across the partner that's right for them, because we all have to find the person or people that fit us, and the groups kind of interconnect. And I am damn grateful, even though sometimes I hate it because it hurts. Thank God I'm a masochist. That I happen to have a daddy who can go toe to toe with me, is playful, is happy to be devious. Like, part of the reason it works is because he's devious as fuck, y'all. He's like, oh, go tell me which one. What are your favorite toys? What are you craving? Okay, we're not doing those today. Or I'm going to be a Sam accidentally, and I'm not going to get the good stuff. I'm going to get nothing because I crossed that line. I was too smartassy. And also, he's a sadist, and there are different types of pain, y'all.
That's true. That's very true.
I always think that's the key. I don't think a Sam or a brat or somebody who's sassy and playful has to tamp themselves down and conform to some weird ideal that's mostly in maybe erotica or the performative stuff we see online or in clubs. You don't have to become that kind of submissive. You need to be the person you are, and then look for, find, wait for, whatever, the dominant or top who can match you, who can go toe to toe with you, who is not intimidated. I don't have a problem on a personal level as a fellow human being with people with it's mostly men, because I haven't come across any women that I know of who are intimidated by me. Mostly cisgender men who are intimidated by me. I don't have a problem with them as human to human, but I have no time for those people as potential partners, okay? Because if you're intimidated by me from the first, before we've even had a conversation, this will not end well. Because once I get comfortable, the snark and sass flow, and I don't mean to do it. I'm not trying to sort of test a person to see how will they respond to these things. That's not what I'm not trying to do it, not on a conscious level, but I know myself after all these years well enough to know that is what I do. I need to know, can you handle it?
And in case y'all didn't know, I'm going to say this. The sass is strong with this one.
I've seen so many shirts online, usually Pinterest, and it's like the sass is strong. I need a shirt that says that. And I need like multiple styles and one for every day. Just walk around with it. Just advertise what you're going to get. So to the Sams, to the Brats, to the sassy, playful, always got something to say people, if you are single and you're in between relationships, you don't need to change who you are. Your type of submission is valid.
Yeah.
You need the partner who can handle it. And sometimes it means you wait for a partner, or it means that you explore other facets of who you are as a kinkster and leave that alone until you just can't leave it alone. Don't suppress it. Don't pretend it's not there. But it's okay to go off and go, okay, well, let me go learn more about my service self. Let me go learn more about my, bondage self, and then come back. Because you don't know who you're going to meet when you do that, and who you're going to come across, whether it's as a friend and in a platonic way, or it's a romantic or sexual way. But that's probably the thing that breaks my heart the most, or the amount of subs I see who think that there is something inherently wrong with them because they're not meek and mild and quick to go, whatever you'd like. Like, they come back, they challenge, they fight. And some, not all, but some submissives who might fall within these categories want their submission to be earned every time. They want it taken every time. They want the fight. That's part of the need for them.
That's part of the dynamic that they want, they need. Yes, absolutely.
And let's be clear. Not everybody is for everybody. And not every dom you come across is going to be able to handle that. And that doesn't make them a bad dom. That doesn't make you a bad sub. It just means it's not a good fit. So be their friend. Maybe play in other ways if you're attracted that way. But don't twist yourself into knots to become what you think the air quote ideal submissive is. Your way. I think that there is something to be said for maybe learning how to be more respectful if that gets you what you want quicker. I think there's something to be said for adapting to the partner that gives you what you want, but also like the reason I'm an accidental Sam is because I know the outcome might not be what I actually want. So I don't try to be a Sam. I try to get what the fuck I want. That was not me making myself smaller and less of who I am for my partner. That was me adapting to how he was going to react to that, because it's fun to be a Sam when you get what you want. In my experience, not so fun when you're left standing there naked and nothing. Nobody's hitting you. Nobody's being mean to you in a loving way. Nobody's pulling your hair. You're just left there. I was like, okay, lesson learned. Maybe don't do that again. And so I adapted that inherent instinct. Now, had he had a different reaction where if I was a Sam and that snarkiness came out and I consistently got some level of what I wanted, meaning he brought the pain every time, then that would have taught me, air quote around, I guess, taught, almost trained me. I mean, conditioned, thank you. Words are hard this early in the morning. That would have conditioned me to have a different response. That's what I mean when I say that. Yeah. So you might adapt some of your behavior for the partner who's fulfilling other needs, but only in that kind of way where you learn each other and you adapt to that. Not the, let me completely pretend I'm not this person so that I can go be with a dom who's a nice enough person but is not fulfilling anything that I need because they think I'm a different kind of person. Yeah. So, I want to go check my notes.
Okay.
And make sure, is our video buffering? God damn it. Oh no, it might be good. Okay, sorry. Podcast listeners, you're like, what the fuck is she talking about? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the preview and I'm like, okay. Weirdly, according to my notes, I've hit the things I wanted to make sure we talked about. I would like to ask you to talk more about being on the other side.
Being on the other side.
I could talk all day long about my sassy self, and anybody who's been around here for at any point 209 episodes knows the sass was strong. But you're the one that has to live with it.
Yes.
Hey, you married me.
I did. My own fault. It is fun. I am not going to deny that. And it definitely makes it a challenge. Now, for me, one of the things that I do love about her and her sass and her tiptoeing into the brat side of things.
Not on purpose.
Sometimes I wonder. For me, I do like the challenge.
Is it invigorating or is it exhausting? Or is it sometimes both?
It depends. It's sometimes both.
You know, I know that because sometimes I bring the sass and you snap.
Yeah.
And then I get annoyed and like frustrated and I feel bad.
Yeah.
And then there's...
because fun. what it does for me, it keeps me mentally on edge.
In a good way, y'all.
In a good way. It keeps my mind sharp. Mm-hmm. In regards to you, because like I said earlier, I have to look over every detail. Well, if I say this, how is she going to interpret this, and is she going to want to do this? And well, there's this tangent you got to think about, and then she may perceive it this way, and But yes, there are times it does get overwhelming.
If you're not in a good place,
if I'm not, there are times I am not in the place for it, and that's sometimes when I will tell you, time out. This is not the moment for this. Because
a little bit, and this is where I think my baby girl side comes in. But anybody who doesn't identify the baby girl boy / little spectrum that identifies in these other ways. Maybe you can clarify from your perspective. I think my baby girl side is the one that pushes. So a little bit like a child. So I find something funny, or I got a reaction, or I'm cracking myself up. It's usually that one. And I keep going, and I keep saying it, or I keep whatever. And yeah, there are I have clear memories of times when you were like, enough. And then a little bit like a kid, then I'm like, I am definitely pouty. And I'm like, my feelings are hurt because I was having fun. I was trying to be playful, and you're like not in the mood for it. And that definitely, that to me is where one side of your daddy dom, the disciplinarian side of your daddy dom comes out. And we don't do a lot with discipline, y'all, but you got a little bit of that. You like things to be sort of a certain way. And then your playful daddy side, or your playful sadist side, comes out in the other way.
Yeah. So, it is a mix of things. And most of all, I like it because it's fun. Prior to being with Kayla, I was in a fairly high protocol relationship, and it was nice in its own way. I would ask her to do something, and she would do it. Okay.
That must be nice.
Forgotten what it's like.
Sometimes I do.
But this with Kayla, it brought a whole different aspect to everything.
I made you use muscles that you hadn't used in a while.
Yeah.
And it from the perspective of having multiple facets to my own submissions. Sometimes I do. He says, "Hey, I need you to do this. I need more coffee." I'm like, "Okay." And then sometimes I want to be playful, or I'm just in a mood, or sometimes the snark just erupts from the mouth. I'm gonna go do it, but I'm gonna say something first. And I know that there are doms out there who hate that kind of thing, and that's okay. They need to find a submissive who does not necessarily do that or whatever. But I would feel stifled if I thought that some of my witticisms and one-liners and snarky comments, if all of those comments had to be tamped down.
Yeah.
Like that would be too much. Learning that there's a time and a place for those things. There's nothing wrong with that. Because I don't care how much of a brat you are within a relationship, how much of a Sam you are, how sassy you are. If you navigate the vanilla world and somebody is the boss of you, we all know how to tamp it down when we need to. We all know time and place. Like functioning adults tend to know that. We're not always good at that, but we understand on some level that not everything is appropriate every time. And sometimes we have to learn that the hard way. So that's not any different in a relationship. It's just that where that line of time and place and appropriate is a little fuzzy. It's a little different. I mean, my former DS relationship before you, I think he liked that I had some sass. He did not my memory's fuzzy this way. I never really explored it with him. It was very much he was definitely a disciplinarian. He wanted somebody who would do what they were told to do right then. And this was also new to me. And oh God, I was in so much sub frenzy. I was like, of course, it was easy. I think he enjoyed my sass when we would be having conversations and talking. That just comes out naturally once I'm relaxed. I don't remember ever letting that show the few times we played. It was a long distance relationship. We met up two times. Can't remember anymore. No, it did not last that long. And I don't know how he would have handled that. There were plenty of other reasons why the relationship didn't last. I'm not unhappy about that. By the way, it worked out real well for me. But I do think that if I had not, I wonder if, because a lot of this is just who I am. And it's the reason I'm able to be this way is because I have a partner who, for the most part, enjoys it and embraces it and comes and gives it back to me. And so it's a different kind. It's funny. It's a different kind of power exchange.
Yeah.
And it's the one where sometimes we're actually the most equal, because you'll say something and then I'll come back because we're both thinking and we're both like playing with words and we're both looking for loopholes and and ultimately you win because you got methods that you can use. And also, I wouldn't want to win all the time. I mean, there's part of me that likes to win, right? We've talked about that. But, I want you to... Sure. It would be weird if I always came out on top in those situations, because I think that would undermine a bit of our power exchange too.
And I think the other thing I would want to say, there are some DOMs who identify themselves as a brat tamer.
Oh yeah, I've seen that on FET before.
So I have seen that, and if that's how you identify and that's how you want to play, that's fine. Power to you. Okay, that's your thing. I myself have a problem with the word tamer. All right, because one of the things I would not want to do, I'm not looking to tame her. I'm not looking to tame my partner, to break them. I like her the way she is. Sass, pout, and all included. See, to me, by saying, well, I'm going to tame the brat out of them, that then removes the element...
Sure. Of the brat that you like to begin with.
Yes.
And I think sometimes people use that term and they don't. I think there are definitely some people who think that they're literally going to tame the brat. And quite frankly, if you want to play, if you are the brat and you're like, ooh, I'm kind of intrigued by that, go for it. I do think that some people use that term just to indicate that they play with brats, that they are not afraid of brats. Because when I read like blog posts and stuff from people who identify as brats, they're never completely tamed, because the next day
they're back at it.
Once they get the power of speech back, they're back at it. But they the power dynamic and the exchange is that they allow, on some level, because it's a consensual thing, obviously, they allow their partner to tame them for that moment, to get what they want, to take what they want, because that's how they're playing with one another, and how they're interacting with each other. And so I think sometimes, maybe most time, maybe it's a good split, that brat tamer title or label is more to just indicate
that
I do brats.
They're open to that kind of thing.
They're open to it, right?
All right, and that may be, yeah.
But I have heard in that, or read, I should say, because it's been online. I have sort of the same way that some, DOMs, some air quote DOMs, some DOMs will say, I want to break my submissive and build them back up. I mean, I have questions about that, and I'm like, I got concerns. Yeah. I know that's a way some people play, and if you keep it in a consensual fantasy kind of realm, I certainly don't. I have nothing to say about
within a scene, that's one thing, yes.
And there are people who say something similar about brats. Because I would think, wait, if you wanted to quote break the brat and get the brat out of me, then do you really like playing with brats? Yeah. But if it's in that sense of, within this scene, I'm going to win because I'm the brat tamer, and then we rewind and do this again the next day.
Right? Yeah. That's different then. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like Sam's, Brats, Sassy. If there's another word you like for Sassy, like I said, please share with, I don't know if this is true or not. Is Sassy considered more of a feminine word? Is there another word that can be used? I have not always said I was sassy, but I heavily identify with that word. I love that word for myself. But I wonder if there's another word that people use that has similar meaning, just evokes a different feeling for them. So feel free to share comments, social media. I have lots of Fat Life messages I need to answer. So if you've messaged me and I have not responded, that's why. But I don't feel like it's like any other type of submission or anything, it doesn't have an easy like definition. This is what it is, right?
No.
It's I think it's a lot of it is how you feel. I think a lot of it is very personal, not just because we have that ability, and we should use that ability to sort of don't make ourselves fit the label, make the label fit us. So I can't say, well, sassy is when you talk like this. Sassy is when a brat is when you do this. I think it's you know it when you see it. You know it when you feel it. I think there are levels to all of this, from a teeny tiny little bit to a whole hell of a lot. I do think some people can come across as Sams and Brats and even Sassy Submissives. Some, not all, y'all. People who have not quite yet learned to trust, and they feel like they have to maybe fight everything. And that maybe when they feel safe and secure within their power exchange with the person, whatever, that some of that might calm down. I mean, I would be curious for some people how much of that is, or at one point was, a defense mechanism. Because like I say, when I get to know people, especially when they might be interested in me romantically or sexually, once I'm comfortable, the sass comes out. And it is kind of a test. I'm like testing you to see if you can handle me. There was a time that came from a place of just not trusting anybody. And if I pushed you away and you came back, then you might be worth a second look. That's not a universal good test, because some gross human beings are not deterred by intimidation. But that was sort of what I did. And it wasn't this is who I am and this is how I feel comfortable expressing myself. It was a defense mechanism. And I think that exists too. I do not think that all brats, Sams, sassy people need to be diagnosed from the rest of the kink community about how that has some. It's not an inherent part of who they are, and it's something else. Like, don't do that. But I do think it's worth a look, especially if you're not getting fulfillment in your relationship out of the behavior. If it's costing you more. In terms of, let's say this, I saw somebody in the live stream chat who said, my lack of patience and my mouth get me in trouble all the time. Same, okay?
That has a way of doing that, yeah.
But if you find yourself taking your snark or your sarcasm and your playfulness too far consistently, and it doesn't end well, meaning it's punishment, or it's, the sadist one, what kind of pain would you like to feel? Yeah, you're not feeling any. Enjoy that kind of pain, right? Like those kinds of things. Those moments might be worth a little introspection to go, okay, what's going on here? Because there's playfulness, and then there's I just made nothing happen because I took it too far, and I do that consistently. I think that's worth a look. But to be a brat, to be a Sam, to be sassy and playful, that's valid. That's legit. It's not for everybody, and it doesn't have to be for everybody. But I think that the people who identify this way need to feel less shame about it and need to embrace it. If we're in happy, healthy power exchanges and we're where we want to be, then we're doing something right, y'all.
It's true.
And the outside kink community, it's like everything else. I don't have to understand your dynamic for it to be legit. You don't have to understand my dynamic. You know, you don't have to be into brats or even to find that that's a little tiresome sometimes to watch it for it not to be valid. It doesn't have to be for you, you know? So we're not a homogenous group, and I don't want us to be. So there we go. In the live stream chat for podcast listeners, Cookie33 says an alternative term to brat or sassy that I like to use is heckler. I like that.
I do like that, yeah.
I wouldn't, sometimes I am heckling. Sometimes I am, with joy, with glee.
Yeah. With a gleam in her eye.
That's a good one. Heckler is a good one. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say about this topic.
Well, I have one thing to add to all this. To all the people who identify as Sams and Brats and Sassy Subs out there, may the pout ever be in your favor.
Not everybody pouts.
True.
Some of us do. Pout is never in my favor. Not anymore.
Nope.
It's like you're immune to it.
On to that pout.
Okay. Okay, y'all. Okay. So we do have a bonus section.
Yes.
Real quick, if you don't remember, if you are interested and you want to subscribe to our newsletter, the link to it is in all the appropriate places. And yes, we can go into the bonus section.
Okay. So we're good.
As good as we'll ever be, I guess.
Okay.
Keep it kinky, y'all, and we'll see you next week. Daddy.
Yes, baby girl.
Can I talk to the crickets now? Please?
Yes, girl, you may.
Thank you, Daddy. Okay, so last week when I was like, hey, send me the cricket emoji in whatever social media or in the comment section on YouTube if you're watching the video later, and I know people were doing it in the live stream, like, send me the cricket emoji. Y'all did. I have FetLife messages I have not read yet, and I know some of them are cricket emojis and chirp chirp, and so
cricket emojis were popping up everywhere.
It was awesome. It was awesome. So this week, since the topic was Sams and Brats and Sassy Submissives, if you are so inclined, I would love to see, and you get all the way to this point in the bonus section, I would love to see the purple smiley devil face, not the frowny devil face, because that usually means JB is mad at me. But that purple smiley devil face, it's purple. Y'all know purple's our love language. If a color could be a love language, purple is our love language. That's the one I want to see. That's what I want to see this time. If you are so inclined, it is perfectly. I had several people who were DMing because they're like, ooh, I don't feel comfortable doing this publicly. That's fine. That's fine. You can send a DM with that devilish smile, purple, has horns, the smile. Because this is a live stream, I can't put up the one I mean. It doesn't show up as purple on YouTube. Yeah. But y'all know.
Some places it comes up purple, some it doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, in the one live stream chat I'm looking at, it does not. In the other live stream chat I'm looking at, it does. Mm-hmm. Yes, that one. If anybody can see in the live stream chat, if you can see Jennifer's emoji, that is. I love that one. The two emojis. Well, when I'm using purple emojis, the two emojis I use the most is purple heart and the purple smiley. Does that emoji have a real name?
I don't know.
Oh, I know y'all can hear it in the background. Our poor dog. So he has a heart murmur, and he's nearly 15 years old, and he's mostly active. Like that's the only thing technically wrong with him, but it's given him this cough, and he just, as he's gotten older over the past 3 or 4 months, it's a constant cough. It used to be like an occasional, and now it's constant. He sleeps all the time because he can't sleep through the night anymore because he's coughing all the time, and it sounds really bad. But
and unfortunately we've taken him to the vet. They've looked at him, and we've tried some different cough things that they've given us for him, and they don't seem to help. And unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be much that they can do for him.
No, I mean, they would be happy to do an echocardiogram on him. I'm like, I already know he's got a heart murmur and a large heart. We're aware. So we're just, while he's happy and mostly comfortable and living a good life, we're just letting him live his best doggy life. But the cough sounds really bad, and the mics are good enough that they usually pick it up. Okay, so what is going on? We have one thing that I feel like such a tease. We have one thing we're going to tell our patrons this month.
Yep.
Because we always tell the patrons first. Mm-hmm. We have to record that podcast episode.
Yeah, I was thinking later today.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yep.
So yeah, we have an announcement coming, and the announcement for the broader audience will probably happen in the next several weeks because we've got work to do to have something to announce publicly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we have that. We had that I can't say. I know that is awful. That is so awful. That's why I save stuff like that for the bonus section, because that way it doesn't interfere with people who want to get like information. Right. I am swamped again with work. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Last week we were all excited because we had started the mortgage pre-approval, whatever process. We are still hanging on a hook for that.
Hurry up and wait.
not every day, but when we get contact, our mortgage person is really, he's doing his best. He's fine. We're not upset. It's just the nature of it. The only time we hear from him is 4:30 in the afternoon by email. I'm like, oh, you're leaving at 5. I know you are.
Not necessarily true. We did get an email from him at 11 o'clock at night one time.
That's true. That's true. It's like, I mean, I understand bankers' hours are kind of a thing. That's fine. I'm not mad at you. A little jealous, quite frankly. But also just tell us, are you willing to give us a mortgage and for how much? Because now at this point, it's a week and a half on, I'm like, they're going to tell us they won't let us have a mortgage. They're going to tell us we have to live in this rental forever. That's what they're going to tell us. I just know, like, I'm on edge. I'm on edge because I cannot decorate the office I don't have yet if I can't go house hunting.
And I can't have the new shed workshop.
I know. Every time I drive by houses, I'm looking at what they're set up in the back, and I'm not just looking at like the workshop because we've already talked about size and price.
Yeah,
I'm looking at like the setup. Like, oh, do they have a foundation under that, or do they just have some cinder blocks? Do they have electricity rented? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself when this phase of our life is over. Like, what?
I'm sure you'll figure something out.
Oh, I'll have something else to do. But in the meantime, I keep having anxiety attacks. Last night, I thought I was going to be physically ill. So bad. Just laying in the bed going, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I feel like I'm going to be sick. I'm so nauseous. I can't breathe. So I'm a basket case right now.
Yeah, you are. And I'm just taking it in stride. It's going to be what it will be.
Yes, Ben. And instead of a garage, JB gets a he hut.
Yeah.
I don't want a she hut. What's it called? A she shed. I don't want a she shed. I could give two shits. He gets a he hut. I like that he hut. I don't know if you just made that up, Ben, or if that's a real expression, but I love it. I
like that too. Yeah.
I just want a goddamn office with a door that closes. That's all I fucking want.
You know, for the last two between the condo and now here at the rental, I have taken over the garage, and you know, regardless of I've put some things in place for dust collection this past year. Or since the beginning of the year, I should say. And it has helped tremendously. But it is, you know, working with wood is still a messy.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. And
there's wood shavings in all kinds of places in this house. Just find them randomly.
Right, yeah. And the more I thought about, you know, I in this area where we're at, there are a lot of houses that have big sheds.
Because they're large lots.
They're large lots.
Part of the draw to live in this area was that there's space. There's space to...
And, you know, the thought of having a dedicated spot for all this and actually having the garage used for what it was intended to be used for, you know, I think would be a nice thing.
I know. Somebody was saying in the live stream chat, Silent Wing said it didn't take that much hassle for their mortgage. It was like 2 appointments. And I don't know if you're in the same situation. For us, part of it was because we reached out to our mortgage person in the same week he switched companies. So he's going through training. So there was a delay there. And then not only are we self-employed, the way our taxes got done switched between 2018 and 2019. So there was a slight discrepancy like, oh, 2018 you filed this way and 2019 you filed that way. I need an explanation to be able to say something to the underwriter to explain it. And so I got that. And then it was like, here was the fun one. Last night's question was, so, on your taxes, you say, and I can't remember the exact phrase, but basically I'm a writer, digital marketer and writer. What does that mean? And I was like, I am so glad I legitimately still have a non-adult, non-sex client. So I was like, well, what it means is I'm a freelance writer, and I write content for business websites and sometimes manage their social media for industries such as, and I was like listing the not sex stuff, and I was like, oh. And then the next question was, well, what does John exactly do? The name of this company, what exactly is that? And I'm like, oh, he makes pens and balls. Even though most of the income comes from paddles, we did not say that. I was like, we're going to keep our vanilla front at least through this process.
Yes.
Because technically I could have said that even if it wasn't true, but I would have felt bad because...
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. It's more complicated because of the self-employment and the taxes thing than anything.
Now, I have to reply to Silent Winged.
Okay.
Okay. She was talking about how it's normal to have your boxes, your garage full of boxes for at least 2 years after you move.
Oh no, we're not living that
Silent
life.
Wing, I'd like to introduce you to Kayla Lords. Okay.
We're not about that life, is what I'm here to say.
My baby girl, whom I love so much. If there is an unpacked box, she will move heaven and earth to unpack that box.
It stresses me the fuck out. We had to, because the garage in this rental house needed to be the workshop, we ended up getting a storage unit in town for the stuff that just wasn't going to fit. And I was like, why would we unbox this when we're going to move in here, right? And there are unpacked boxes in the storage unit, which makes sense, and it still stresses me out. I plan packing like some sort of military high rank, somebody who knows better than me. I'm not going to disrespect any of that. I always say like a general. I don't know if I do it like a general, but I plan the packing like every day. You know what room you're packing and what boxes and what items. I plan it. I've moved so many times over the past 20 years. Oh my God, easily a dozen. And I know there are people who've moved more than that, but I think I've moved a dozen times. Anyway, and then unpacking, same fucking thing. There's a plan.
When we moved into the condo, we were unpacked within a week.
Less than.
When we moved here to the rental, 2 days. 2 days, everything was unpacked.
Everything we were going to unpack.
Everything we were going to unpack.
And that was actually helpful because we did have stuff in storage that we weren't going to unpack. And we weren't putting anything on the walls, which is part of why there's such a massive echo in this house. Because we didn't put anything on the walls because it was just a rental. So it will take a little bit longer in the house when we buy. But no, I will do anything to eliminate that kind of stress. And we have a really good friend who, for not just because she just doesn't want to unpack her boxes, but because of her housing situation. And when she moved in, you know, she's got boxes in her garage and it stresses her out. We have many conversations about it, but when she tells me about it, I am stressed on her behalf. I'm like, I know it's not because it's not because you don't want your boxes unpacked. I totally get it, but you are stressing me out. You're so stressing me out.
Well, Silent Wing would like to borrow you. And how soon can you get to Ontario?
Oh no, it's winter there for y'all. I'm not. No. Hit me up in the summertime. I am. I just. Oh my God. I map it out. And the cool thing is we still have our boxes from the last move that are labeled. So I'll just be passing out boxes to the appropriate rooms. Mm-hmm.
That we did. We, with knowing the intention we were only going to be here for a short time, we saved all the cardboard boxes.
Those are expensive.
I know.
Now, back in the day when I was broke, and I worked in retail, so I actually had access to a stockroom with boxes that came in. I did not buy boxes. I would use any container I owned to get stuff moved. But I also didn't hire nice, strapping young people to pick up my heavy furniture for me either. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, we did the same thing. When we moved, I think we did it at the condo, and I definitely know we did it here. The boxes were labeled with names. Mm-hmm. And
the rooms were labeled with names.
We then put papers on each room.
And that's a comment from Tayshu in the live stream about labeling. Oh yes, everything is labeled. When we moved into the condo, that was a great moving company. I didn't actually direct anything. I had the labels. They loved it. When we moved into this rental house, the guys who were driving, they were really, really sweet. They were really, really young. And maybe they just weren't used to the rooms being labeled. Because even though the labels are there, and the labels are an exact match for the label on the box, y'all, I'm intense when it comes to this, right? And even though that I still had to direct them, it's like it's fine. The right boxes will get to the right rooms, and the kids know. You're not getting on your crap. You are unpacking your fucking boxes, and then you are giving me the boxes to break down. That is what you're doing. Yeah, no, I'm overly intense about moving because it is so stressful to me. I mean, I'm already I'm already thinking about the increased workload I've taken on. The fact that we're going to go out of town in March. We can't go to Eroticon in London because with the move and the buying a house, I was like, that's a multi-$1,000 trip. No.
Yeah, no.
But we are going to go out of town. We're going to Atlanta in March for a conference, for a BDSM conference, actually.
Lifestyle conference.
Lifestyle. Yeah. True. Lifestyle, because leather is included in that. Anyway. So we're doing that. And we're going to have, at some point, we're going to have to, like, be buying a house. And we're going to have to pack. And, like, I'm already stressing myself out. So I'm going to be even more intense. I'm going to be a fucking joy. A joy to live with. Aren't you excited? Aren't you looking forward to this? So yeah, the house buying thing is consuming our lives right now.
And see, we haven't even started looking yet.
Well, no. The Realtor.com app is my porn. I am constantly on the app looking to see, and I know just enough about real estate to be dangerous. I worked around real estate for 7 years. Would never broker the sale or purchase of my own home. But I know what questions to ask. So I'm looking at houses and I'm looking at price and I'm like, and I've been doing it for so long in this area. A house goes on the market. I'm like, that's going to sit there 6 months. You have priced that too high, baby. No. Or I'm going, where are the pictures? I'm here for the pictures. Yeah, it's my porn.
and you know, I'm glancing at the chat. Team No Unboxes is clearly... And yes, Kayla is the exception.
I usually am to most rules. I've always been the odd one out. I always just I'm embracing it though. I am embracing it, and I will. I'll make myself sick with stress in the short term right now to avoid longer term stress, and that's not necessarily healthy. I'm not exactly proud of that, but yeah, I will be the moving top. I will be when it comes to housing stuff. I lead that. Like the condo. Yeah. JB, we weren't married when he bought that. JB bought that in his name, and I just happened to live there. And he was like, "Okay, but what do I tell the realtor?" I'm like, "Here, you ask this question."
But you have
the experience.
The experience in the real estate, so it was best I defer to you and ask you the question because I knew stuff I didn't understand.
And then he saw how I moved, and he went, "Oh, just let her have this shit." Just, which is fair. You keep me in comfort food and caffeine while we go through the process. Right. You tell the boys to just do what the hell I tell them to do, and to stop complaining.
It's best just to listen. Just don't go there. Save yourself a lot of heartache.
I mean, we do on the topic of Sam's, Brats, and Sassy Subs. I do often say, if we just started from the premise that I'm always right, life would be a lot easier. I don't know how I got that sassy title. I don't know why he sometimes calls me Brassy. Anything else? Because I feel like we're going to get very boring with all the house talk, but it is going to am the lives for the next several. It's kind of consumed our lives for the past couple of years, though, right? Because it's been this really long process. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely ready for it to be over with, but also I can't imagine life without this.
Well, as far as where we're going to live, this is going to be the final step in a process we started out on 5 years ago.
Truly, 5 years ago. But yeah, so I'm ready to talk about other things in the future. But I'm just warning you. So that's why we keep it for the bonus section. Mm-hmm, it's fine. Anything else? That's it.
I think that's pretty much it.
I think that's enough. Yeah, I think that's enough. I don't have much to say. We're mostly we keep on keeping on with everything else we got going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a basket case. Anxiety is just it's there. It's just always right there. So I'm hoping over the next couple months, as all these things come through and process, then it calms down.
Eva asked about yard space and stuff and fire pit. One of the reasons we looked in this area, Ocala, where we're at, is these houses up here actually have lots.
Some are quarter acre, third acre, half acre,
up to a full acre.
That's mind-boggling amount of space these days.
Yeah. And that is one of the things that has given me the impetus towards thinking of an actual shed workshop, because there would be the room for it, and the zoning here is open to that.
Oh yeah, there are more shed stores than there are anything else.
Yeah, there's some houses we've passed here. They have 3 and 4 sheds in the backyard.
Storage, and we've seen them with their doors open. I pity them if they ever decide to move. I would just burn it to the ground and walk away. Yeah. Oh my God, the amount of stuff.
Yeah, there's one house that I absolutely love. The house actually has.
It is not for sale.
It's not for sale, but the house has 2 attached garages, one on each side of the house. It's an odd design, I know, but it's kind of cool. They also have a 2-car detached garage. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be perfect. We'd have garage space for storage in the cars, and the detached would be my shed. And one day I drove by there, and they had the garage doors open on the detached garage. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with Fibber McGee's Closet. It's an old radio show. Used to be a big joke that the closet was so packed, and he would open the door and the stuff would just tumble out.
Gotcha.
Well, Fibber McGee's gotten a garage.
3, apparently.
Yeah. I drove by, had that door up, and from front to back, floor to ceiling, it was just packed with junk. So, but yeah, I do drive by and I'm like, is there a sale sign on there yet?
Those people are never moving.
They're never moving because they're never going to clean that stuff out.
No.
But
no.
I just know. Yeah, the yard space here is really good size. Depending on where we do land, probably going to have to get a riding mower at some point. Mm-hmm. And fire pit. Oh yeah, I would love me a fire pit. I built a fire pit years ago in my first home, and I loved it. Didn't get to sit out there very much because it was mostly warm, too warm to build a fire. But I do like sitting around a fire.
Well, and this was what was funny about when we lived in the condo. We didn't have a fire pit, but we had really made the back patio kind of nice.
Yes.
For the space we had, because it was a condo, so not a lot of space, which is fine. But in the summer, it was too hot to sit out there. Fall and spring were often too rainy to sit out. Yeah. The winter was good, so you got about 2 months where you could really sit out there and enjoy it.
True. True.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a part of me that's doing that whole stop. Don't look at too many houses. Don't get too excited about because we don't know what our options are going to be.
Yeah.
But also that impatient baby girl side was like, come on. I want to know. So yeah, I'm just ready to get through this chapter of life and then see what's on the other side of it. And in the meantime, we're not exactly slowing down, so we still have a lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
But yes, just to reiterate, we will be in Atlanta in March. Mm-hmm. So if anybody is in Atlanta, just know that. Yeah. So I think that's enough. I think that's it. Mm-hmm. You can get us talking for like an hour about the house.
Right.
And I do want there to be more things that we do either on YouTube or podcast stuff that I'm just putting on the back burner. I'm just like, okay, let's get through this phase. So that's it for us. The purple devilish smile face is this week's emoji. So yeah, that's us. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
If you're watching the live stream, if you're watching the video later, if you're listening to the podcast, we love you all. We are so grateful to you.
Yes.
I say it a lot because I mean it. Without you, we are just two people talking to ourselves on the internet.
Yes.
And we love you and we're grateful you're here. So that's it. Bye.
Bye.